Hello and welcome to CS 140 3D Design. I am your instructor, Chet Casper. In this video, we're going to introduce you to Autodesk Inventor 2020. How to get started. Well, let's get started. Locate the icon of your software, which is Autodesk Inventor Professional 2020, and double click it. Okay, this is the screen that you will be met with. To start our first project, or to start any project, click on New. And what I want you to do is use metric. It'll possibly be defaulted to English, but we want metric. And we want standard metric. MM for millimeters, because the projects we do theoretically will fit on a 3D printer. Some of them will. The first project we'll even print for you. So we start with a standard millimeter project, and we go down here to create and click on it. And you are met with the very blank looking screen. Now your colors may be much brighter as a default. I went ahead and changed mine to the dark theme. I kind of like the dark themes. A little easier on my screen and my eyes. So, and that can be done under the settings, but we'll cover that another time. So let's take a quick tour of Autodesk Inventor. You will see a bunch of tabs across the top as I'm clicking on them. A lot of the tools are managed under these tabs, and what's significant about that is when you start designing sketches, usually every iteration of something we draw is called a sketch, and the accumulation of sketches is your project. So every project's made of at least one sketch, and usually dozens of sketches. And you can see the sketches in this section here. This is called the model tree. It kind of looks like a tree, upside down-ish. As you create sketches, they will be layered one after another in this model tree. So let's demonstrate that. To get started in 3D design, we start with 2D design. Right here, you click on this 2D design sketch, and by the way, this is really a nice feature of Autodesk Inventor. You can put your mouse on any of these tools and it will show you a little bit of help with them if you just hover your mouse on them for a minute. In case you forget what they do, it's a great reminder. So let's start with a 2D sketch, which is of course under the Sketch tab. When you do that, you'll notice this set of planes came up. These are called planes. They're really drawing planes. And what you have one that's a flat surface. Actually, I'm going to show you under the model tree under origin. If you expand that plus sign right there, you'll see the XZ plane, which I just hovered on, and it's on your screen kind of in pink. The first one was the YZ plane. This is the XZ plane, and this is the XY plane. It even says it right on there. The XZ plane is generally associated as a build plate. When you print something on a 3D printer, that would be the build plate of the 3D printer. So I like to start on that and build my objects upwards from it. So, having said that, let's get started. After you click on the start a 2D sketch, this comes up so that the next thing it wants you to do is choose what plane to start sketching on, to start drawing on. These are all drawing planes. You draw on them. So let's start a sketch on the XZ plane. I'll click on it. And whoa, what did it just do? Well, it just rotated and zoomed into the XZ plane, and now it looks very two-dimensional. We're looking straight down at it. So imagine you're looking straight down at the center of the build plate of a 3D printer. So let's begin with a circle. We'll just simply left-click on it. And notice I am not holding the mouse button down. You can't really see my hand, but I am not holding the mouse button down. I am in circle mode, which allows me to draw circles. So I'll just put one right in the dead center of the drawing plane. It's that green dot, and you notice that green dot gets a little bit bigger when I'm on it. That confirms that I'm on that center spot. So I just left click one time. I'm not even holding the mouse button down, and I can move my mouse out. And this is nice. I can see how large approximately it's going. Let's make this about 30 millimeters. Right about there. Now, rather than sit here and fight trying to get exactly 30-0-0, which is really hard to do with this mouse, I get it really close. Like right there's pretty close. Ooh, that's really close. So I'll just click the left mouse button again. Okay, so there's my circle. Now, let's make my circle exactly 30 millimeters. So I'll go up here to Dimension. I'll click on it one time. And I'll put my mouse on somewhere on the circle, right there. And I'll left click it one time. I'm not holding the mouse button down. And this is allowing me to put my measurement somewhere right around there. That looks nice. You can put it outside of the circle too if you want. But we want it on the, I would want it on the inside. So left click one more time. And now I have a dimension, and now here's the beauty of this. I want to change the circle so it's exactly 30 millimeters. I can just now left click on it again one time, and it gives me a opportunity to change the dimension. So I can just type in 30, and I hit enter, and now it's 30. And what if I wanted it to be 25? I'll just click on it one time, type in 25, it's 25. Okay. So we're working in metric, and what if I did something crazy? So I'll click on it one time. What if I wanted to make it ½ inch, 1.5 inch? If I type in IN instead of MM and hit enter, 12.7 millimeters is about ½ inch, which makes sense. A 13 millimeter socket is about a ½ inch socket. So I'll click it one more time. So we went ½ inch. What if we did 0.0125 feet? How about that? So what I'm showing you is you can convert to standard imperial on the fly, even though we defaulted to metric. You can override the metric measurements. But I do appreciate the fact that they show you the metric equivalent on the screen. But when you click on it, it shows you the one that you typed in. How about 5 cm for centimeters? That's 5 centimeters, or 50 millimeters. You know about the metric system. You give them a millimeter, they take a kilometer. It's like give them an inch, take a mile. So we click that. 5 centimeters too big. Let's go back to our 30 millimeters. Now, you can type it millimeters like that, or you can be lazy and just don't put a space in there. Still works. Excellent. So that's our first sketch that we have drawn. We could draw more things in this design area. And I want to bring your attention to the model tree. Notice we have a new entry in it. It's called Sketch 2. What happened to Sketch 1? Well, I tested something before I recorded it, and then I deleted it. So Sketch 2 became the next one active. So this is Sketch 2. You can keep drawing in it, but you can't do other things like 3D model it until you exit or finish the sketch. Notice in 3D model we have extrude, revolve, all these really cool tools, and a lot of these are ghosted out. Some of these can be run, but I like to finish the sketch first and then run them. The other thing too is if you switch between these different tabs, notice sketch is still in blue or whatever color it is on your screen. That's telling you that this thing has not been finished yet. So if you try to go over to any of these other ones and gee, you can't get to them, like circle, plane, split, can't get to any of those, that's because you have not closed or finished your sketch. Oh, look, how nice they put a finish sketch button right there. It's the same button. So let's finish our sketch. And of course AutoCAD likes to rotate things into a 3D viewing, which is nice because there's times when you want it to do that. But if you, it's in what they call the home position. If you click on this little house way over here on the right, it'll resize it, but it's now kind of at a corner view. Just to explain this cube to you here. If you click on front, you are now looking at the front of the build plane, or the build plate on your 3D printer. If you click one of these little arrows, you can rotate it 90 degrees. Now we're looking straight down at it from the top. Now we've turned it upside down, we're looking at it from the back. Now we're underneath it, looking at it from the bottom. Now we're back to looking at it from the front of the 3D printer and back to looking at straight up and down. If you hit the little house, it gives you like a 3D view of it. You're looking so you can kind of see the front, the right, and the top all at the same time. Okay, let's cover one more thing that would be very handy for you to know, and that is how to zoom in and out of a sketch so that you can see things better. Especially like notice this circle is kind of big. What if the circle didn't fit our screen and you want to be able to see the whole thing? Well, zooming is very simple when you have a wheel mouse. Simply roll the wheel forward or backwards to zoom in and out, and it centers itself wherever you have your mouse located. So if I put the mouse in the middle and I roll the mouse wheel forward, that's like us moving backwards. If I roll the wheel mouse towards me, we're zooming in, and that's too far in. I'll roll it forward again, away from me. And here's the interesting thing. If I move my mouse below this circle and I start rolling it towards me, notice that the zooming happens at the point of where the mouse is located. Now if I roll back out again, it is zooming out. So if you wanted to zoom in on this, or let's say you are zoomed in on this side of the sketch, and you wanted a close-up of the other side, one way you can do it is move your mouse way out here someplace, start rolling it, start rolling it that way, and then bring it over here and start rolling in. You can jostle it around by moving your mouse and rolling the mouse wheel. And if you want to just hurry up, center it to where it belongs, sometimes what happens is you do something like this, and then you don't, yeah, isn't that special? Now, do you roll in or out? I'm actually rolling in, I'm rolling out, kind of lost, no fear. Go back over to this cube, which positions your sketch, hit the little house button, and you're back where you were. Okay, here's where the mouse, wheel mouse, acts like a third mouse button. If you push and hold the wheel, notice it changed on my cursor, my mouse cursor on the screen. You can move this object around and then lift up on it, and it's where you need it. So if you were way over here someplace and you were zoomed in by rolling the mouse button, you can adjust it a little bit by holding down the mouse button, not turning it, but just holding it down, lifting up, clicking down on it, moving it, lifting up, click down and move it. That's a beautiful thing. Okay, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel forward, and I'm going to move this to the middle on my own. Or I could just do something simple like hit the little building. Okay, the reason I want to zoom out is next thing I want to show you is how to extrude this sketch. Extrusion is really just a fancy way of saying make it three-dimensional, make it tall. So I'm going to scroll this down so I have some room to work. I have lots of open area above it. And I'm going to go over to the 3D Model tab, and I'm going to choose the extrusion button, or extrusion command. And you can see what it does. It takes a 2D sketch and makes it 3D. Let's do it. I'll click on it, and I am met with a menu here, and this menu already defined it to be 10 millimeters tall. And look, 10 millimeters tall. If I put my mouse on the little arrowhead and click and hold the left mouse button down, I can move it manually. Okay, and I can lift up and say up 59.5. I really wanted it to be 30. Well, there's 3 ways to change it. You can click and hold this button and really work hard to get it to be 30, which right there almost. There, that would be 30. Or you can click on this label and change it to 30. I typed in 30 and I hit enter. Or a third way, here we'll just zoom this up, got to be right on it. There. If you miss a little bit, it puts you in like a selection mode kind of thing. So you got to be right on it. Ah, that's interesting. I'll show you that later. Control Z, by the way, if you hold the control button down and tap the letter Z, is undo. There, I undid my whole extrude. Well, let's extrude again. So extrude, and we know that the 3 ways of doing this. One is to manually change it. Another one is to type in a value here. The third way is to type in a value here. Okay. And now we have, and then I hit OK. That locks it in. If you mess up, Control Z undoes your work. So I have extruded it. I'm going to extrude it one more time, but I want to show, well, I want to show you extruding where you have to choose. And what do I mean by that? Well, we only have one sketch here. I'm going to hold down the middle mouse button and move it. There. What if we had two sketches somewhere in this thing? Well, we have sketch 2, which, by the way, if I click on that again, I could rename it to say there, circle number 1. Let's add a rectangle. So at the end of the model tree, I want to draw on the XZ plane, or I can just simply start here at the end here, or doesn't matter, just click away. But let's start a 2D sketch. Again, gives us a choice as to which plane to draw on. Let's draw on the XZ plane again, so I'll just choose it. Okay. Now I'm going to use the mouse button to shove this off to the side. And I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. And I'm going to choose a rectangle this time. I've clicked on it. And without holding the mouse button down, I'm able to come down to somewhere around this line. Left click one time. And I'll just move it up to about like that. And I'll left click it. Now let's change the sizes of these lines. We go back to our dimension tool. You click on it. Now what you do is you can touch an individual line. Like say I want to change the vertical height, so I'll just touch that and click it. Notice I have a number and some arrowheads. I am moving the mouse left or right to position where my dimension's going to go. I could even go above it or below it. But I want it off to the side a little bit. A lot of people like to put them inside. And people who work in, say, architecture love to put them way out here so they're out of everybody's way. I'm going to put it there because that's reasonably close. I'll left click it. And then I'll click it again because I really want it to be 20. Okay. And it changed the height of my rectangle to 20. It automatically changed this one too. Now let's change the width. Let's make this 30. So I'm going to click on that line, move it up a little bit so it's not covering it. I've clicked on it. Now I'm going to click it one more time and I'm going to say 30. Okay, so it's 30. Okay. So I'm still, notice I was able to just keep clicking. I can keep going and keep going. And two things I want you to see. Dimension, I'm like in a dimension mode where I've clicked on it and it's still doing it. Okay. I could switch over to some other tool and that will turn that off. But when you click on a tool, it tends to stay in that tool until either you finish the sketch or you choose a different tool, or you just hit escape. Like I'm going to hit the escape button on my keyboard. I hit it several times and now the dimension tool is off. So now I can do things like highlight the whole sketch. The other thing I wanted to show you is I can do things to this sketch, but I cannot do things to this sketch. What's going on? Well, here's what's happening. This sketch is right here. And it's a separate sketch from the one I'm working on right here. This one's now being called Sketch 3 as a default name. Notice what turned red and highlighted when I touched it over here in the model tree. And if I go up, we are not editing and not doing anything with the sketch called circle number 1. So Sketch 3 is actually the one we're working on. So I can click on dimension, and the other thing I want to show you is this line is 20 millimeters tall. So what happens if I click on this line? I get a 20 and I click it again to lock it in. Notice there are parentheses around it. So what's that all about? Well, this is a non-constraining measurement. What? That number there, notice if I click on it to change it, I cannot change that 20 millimeter measurement. This is non-constraining. Constraining means locked into, constrained. I can, because this one's not in parentheses, click on it and change it. Say I want to make it 18. Okay? So I just did. This one here, well, I can't click it and make it 20, but I certainly can with this one. There. Okay, so I'm going to finish that sketch because I'm done drawing on it. And now, of course, Inventor likes to rotate the things into that 3D view of it. Okay. So now I have two sketches. I have a sketch 3 and a sketch circle number 1. Okay. So I want to extrude something. Now when I click on extrude, notice it says profiles and from. What that means is select a profile. That means I need to select a sketch. Oh no. Yeah. And select a face. So we'll start with selecting a profile. What that is notice when I put my mouse in the middle of the circle, that will allow me to extrude everything that just turned red upwards. If I wanted to extrude the square, I can extrude the square upwards by choosing it. Let's do the circle first. So I'm going to click on the circle, and I'm going to hold down the middle mouse button and move this down a little bit. It is 30 millimeters tall. Let's make it 10. So I'll click on that, and I'll change it to 10. Good. Change it to 10 here. So I will OK it. And I'll just move it over a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we extruded the cylinder. Let's do the same thing with this one, but let's use a different measurement. So we'll click on extrude, and it assumed that's the one I wanted because it's the only sketch left that hasn't been extruded. And let's make that 7 millimeters. Okay, so we'll click on OK. So now I have two objects on this screen, and I'm going to switch us to the front view. Okay, the front view, and then I'll turn it on the corner a little bit. I'll let you look at it from the right. We'll tip it towards us about 45 degrees. We'll look straight down at it, and we'll even rotate it. I'm doing all of this with this viewing cube. I hit the home position. It puts us back to our starting original three-dimensional view. So this is cool. I have two sketches that have been extruded. Now, what in the world happened at the model tree? Where did my sketches go? Well, right here. Circle number 1, sketch 3, but interesting thing, if I expand this plus sign, and I expand this plus sign, sketch 3 and circle number 1, those sketches are also embedded inside the extrusion. So let's go one step further. Here's the other cool thing about 3D design is, let's say that circle's too big a diameter. I wanted it to be a little narrower, okay? So I can go over to the extrusion that created it, which is extrusion 1. Circle number 1's inside of it. If I did not have these visible, I could right click on the first extrusion, and I can do things such as edit feature or edit sketch. Edit feature, and I'll click on it, I'll show you. That's the actual extrusion command that was done to the sketch. I'll do a cancel. If I right click on the extrusion, say edit sketch, I did feature last time, edit sketch, that lets me modify the underlying sketch that we had extruded. Don't you love the terminology? So this sketch is, in my opinion, too big a diameter, so I'm just going to click on the 30, double click on the 30, and I'm going to change it to 15. And now it's smaller. So what will that do to the extrusion? So I'm going to finish my sketch, and look, it shrank it up automatically. Oh, I'll move my mouse. It shrank it up automatically, and it kept it at the original height that we extruded it to. So that means your sketches and your modeling can be adjusted. If you've ever heard of something called parametric design, parametric design is a super fancy term that means that you can go through and adjust things inside of others and replicate the changes throughout the entire project. So if I have, and let's demonstrate that real quick. We'll put a chimney on this flat building. Okay. So what I can do, and this really gets into the parametric design part of this thing, is I'm building on a building. I'm going to put a sketch on a sketch. And what I will do is I will click and start a 2D sketch, and then I will choose what I want to sketch on. I'm going to choose this surface right here. Now it will rotate up. How interesting, it rotated up to the center of everything, which is where that circle is, but that's not where I want to draw. I'm going to move this up. This is where I want to draw. And I want to draw a chimney on this, a round one. So we'll start with a circle. So I'll click on a circle, I'll throw it in here somewhere, click again, move the mouse, click again, and go up to dimension, touch the edge, click on it, change, click on it again, and one more time, change that to a 5. Okay, I'm going to draw a second one on the other end of this teeny tiny building. So I'm going to, let's do a rectangular chimney this time. So I'll click on it one time, come down here somewhere, and oh, this is nice little aid. I can start on that edge, click it one time, draw my rectangle, and notice it's making it the same width, 5 millimeters, as the circle. It's even putting the dotted blue line up there for me. Your color may vary. So I'll just left click it again, and there it has locked in my rectangle. That's good enough. Let's finish our sketch and let's extrude them up. This is important for you to know. These two objects, the square and the circle, I'm putting my mouse on sketch 4, are on the same sketch. They're in the same sketch. What ramification does it have? Because notice this whole shape and this whole shape are not in the same sketch. Well, when you put objects in the same sketch like these two and you hit extrude, I can choose one or both to extrude. But here's the thing. They are equal when you extrude them. And that's a good thing if you want them to be equal. But if you don't, I would put them in their own individual sketch, independent of each other. Even though they're on the same drawing plane, put them in their own sketch, which would show up over here. So I'm going to OK this. Well, no, 13 millimeter. Let's make it 15. Now here's the interesting thing, is if I don't actually type millimeter, because when we started this whole project we assumed millimeters, it's assuming millimeters. It even tells you by when you put your mouse on there. So let's OK it, that's what we want. And there you have it. This also illustrates the difference when sketches are in their own, when things you draw are in their own contained sketch, or if they are together in the same sketch. That's the ramification in the decision why you would put things in their own sketches, because then you can make them independent of each other. But if you want them to be similar, like say when you extrude, you want them to be the same height, then you can make them in their own sketch. You can put them together in the same sketch. Okay? So, one more thing to cover for you, and then we'll get into how to save this file and how to retrieve it. Notice I've been using this cube to rotate. Like say if I click on that corner there, it rotates it so I can see everything at a 45-degree angle. And likewise there and there. Kind of back to where we started from. There's the little building, it even resizes it for you, the home position. What if I want it just to be a little bit not something available on this cube? No fear, hold the shift button down with one hand, click and hold the mouse button with the other, and then move your mouse up and down, left and right. See what it's doing? It's rotating your 3D object. Now, if you do something crazy or wild, like get yourself in a bad mix and like, oh, now it's upside down. No, how do I get out of that? I just lift up everything, go over to the home position, start over. Holding shift, holding down mouse button. There, I can bring it up a little bit. Okay, lifting up everything. So, that's the beginning of this. Let's save our work. You do that by going up to File, and of course you say Save, and it will make an assumption as to where you want to save this stuff, and this is the wrong assumption. I have a folder that I'm using, and this would be under Project 1. Actually, this would be Quiz 1. So I'll just stuff it right in there, and I'll just say V1 for Video 1, 01. Intro to 2020. Not very bad here. Okay, so hit save. Okay, so let's test the fact that we've saved our work. Make sure we know where it is. So it's under the Documents, Autodesk, CS140 2080, Quiz 1. Good. We'll cancel that. Okay, so let's close Autodesk. Really close Autodesk. And let's go find our project. So it's under Documents, and I believe it was under Autodesk. And I believe it was also under CS140 for the fall. And I think I called it Quiz 1. There it is. So if you double click that, it should open up. 95K, that's tiny. Amazing how much space they save on these things. And there it is. We're right back to where we were. All right. So that's how to save it. That's how to open it. I'm going to close Autodesk, Inventor, and this is the file that I will have you upload to Moodle. Whenever you do a project, There's about 5 projects. Whenever you complete a project, I will have you upload it to Moodle where I can grade it. And it would be a file that ends in .ipt if you have file extensions turned on your computer. So that's how you'll get them to me. And it's nice because that's a really small file for everything that's in it. I'm impressed. Version 2020 did some good work. Okay, so that's our quick intro, and we're going to dive deeper into all these commands and rehash some of the user interface part, because honestly, probably the hardest part of learning Autodesk Inventor and doing 3D design is learning Autodesk Inventor. The 3D design isn't that hard, but navigating it can be, and that's what we're going to cover. And these skills you learn will be very similar and useful in other 3D design programs that you play with, although this is a good one. All right, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the other side.